If you change this second, you can change the future. This program, I am 120% sure that I will reach that point where I will be a rebooter, no doubt in my mind.
What is going on, Reboot team? It's your man, Reboot Hero 2, with yet another testimonial call from a brother coming to us from the implementation program. This guy was recently named our Rookie of the Season. We'll dive into what that means in a little bit. But first, let me introduce the man himself, who is being very gracious with his time. I am here with the man, Frank. How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great, Chris.
Good to have you on, man. And I said this before. Thank you for just spending a little bit of time to talk about your experience in the group so far. I guess let's start from the beginning, man. I want to know, how did you first discover the group to begin with?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been battling this fight for 40 plus years. So I've been through ups and downs trying to correct my issue many, many times in the past. So this particular time, I'm married to my beautiful wife, Denise. It's been, it'll be in March, 28 years we've been together. It'll be 34 years. And she herself has gone through some changes and issues that she's dealing with herself. And she made an ultimatum to me. That was it. If I didn't find myself and fix what's going on, our marriage was ending. So I searched. I've done the therapy. I've done psychologists, meds, all that, and I was looking for something different. And I just, on a Google search, pretty much, I came across the Reboot implementation program, and I watched JK's video, and I made the call. That was it. I thought, this potentially could be the thing I've been looking for my entire life. And Han called me up. We had the call. My wife was with me, and that was it. I was convinced I have to at least try this. If I didn't try it, what's the point? And here I am today. Han did a great job, got me set up, and here we are.
Yeah, shout out to Han, one of our Reboot strategists. Just awesome individual. I love that guy. But I love your attitude in that, like, as opposed to, oh, let me just, like, give this a try. Maybe this will work. No, you're more like, I have to do this.
Yes.
I think that's so, so important. What was that sort of conviction? What was behind that, I have to do this?
Well, it was kind of like my past experiences with therapists. I was all in. However, I'd reach a point in my therapy where I stopped sharing. I stopped working. I got to that point where, oh, I'm good. I can do this and still have my cake and eat it too, sort of say. I can have my little porn on the side. I'm good now. And this, from day one, taught me you can't have that. You have to put an end to that porn guy, as we call him, and find yourself and be yourself. And that was a changing point for me, big time.
I really, really like the way you worded that. It's about finding yourself and then being yourself. In the program, we have what's called your reboot definition. But once we have, I say it often in the group, but once we have a basic structure and sense of control over our past compulsive behaviors, it's like, cool, that's a feat all in itself. Then it's like, okay, now what? What's the kind of life that I actually want to live? What's the type of man that I actually want to be? And ultimately, what is it going to take to get there? It's not just about quitting. It's like, obviously that is a major component, right?
Right.
Ultimately, it's about, like, what are we trying to pursue in the rest of our lives? So I'm glad that, like, you're starting to make that sort of mindset shift and transition, and I think that's really, really important, not just for you to experience, but for other guys to hear,
Yes.
So I appreciate you speaking to that, but let's talk about what's ultimately led you there, right? You first joined the group, you've got this energy, you got this conviction behind you. I'm curious as to what your experience has been like in the Facebook community.
Yeah, so the as you know, the Facebook group was a bit overwhelming, I think, for me. So I wasn't the type of person. First of all, I only joined Facebook in about 2000, the end of 2010, 2011, because I retired from NYPD, left New York, and came to New Hampshire. I wanted to stay in touch with all my friends and family. That's what brought me to Facebook. And I've only really used Facebook in that sense. So I wasn't an avid, like when I go to work, I wasn't about looking at checking my Facebook. I'm about work. I focused on work. So I would check Facebook if I was lucky, maybe twice a day. So that's what my struggle was when I first started. And that's why you noticed I wasn't participating as much. I was trying to figure out how to work the implementation program, work the sessions, and work the Facebook into it as well. And I figured it out.
You were recently named our comeback king, and now it makes sense. I'm curious as to what the final nudge was, or what the final push was like. You know what? Let me try to like figure this out, but now that I have it figured out, let me like, really, really dive in deep and get involved. Like, what kind of like pushed you to get to that point?
Yeah, I put the implementation program, the Facebook page, first in my life, and I needed to just look at that. And I think it was JK in one of his videos that may have, I'm not sure if it was JK, but someone had mentioned, yeah, I think in one of the modules it mentions you could delete the app, put the Facebook group, the implementation group on your desktop, and then just go to that directly. And I did that for my phone. I did it for pretty much everything. Actually, my iPad, because I take my iPad to work. So I'm able to, well, I don't want to get into what I do for work, but I drive. So I can't, I'm not on it a lot, but when I'm stopped and I can look at it real quick. So that changed my perspective for Facebook, and I was just focusing on the Reboot group itself and put everything off to the side for later when I had time.
Yeah. And for the record, that was my video.
Very good, Chris.
No, I'm glad. You found like that amount of value, from the group that, you're able to kind of find a way to, use it and access it in a way that's healthy for you so that you can just get right to the good stuff. And I think that's really, really important.
I remember you guys talking about struggling with Facebook and using Facebook, but it's such a great platform because it's so organized. You have all the guides and everything right there at one place. So I totally understood where you were coming from and why you continue to use it. Yes.
Right. Nah, exactly. There is. You know what's funny? Because like the whole group has sort of become like an archive, really, like a treasure trove, because you can type into the little, search bar there, really any topic that comes to your mind, whether it's the feelings exercise or dialoguing or certain coaching calls, right? And you will find posts in there from brothers that are in the group now to brothers that have been in the group, years ago, it's like, oh my gosh, like if I ask a question, odds are pretty high that it's been asked before and it's been answered before. So it's a really encouraging way to kind of do research in a way where it's, oh wow, I'm not alone in my thinking or questioning or what have you, struggles, whatever they may be. But actually, that's sort of like a nice segue into different kinds of tools that are introduced in the program. I'm curious as to what types of tools have been of value to you so far.
The feelings exercise, that's like the first tool you're given. And I still struggle with it. I do. And I understand why it's so hard when you're first starting you're numb. You're just numb and you don't want to feel. But I would push that for newcomers to just keep working it, because that was a huge tool, obviously, for me to start with. I can't say the masturbation checklist has been that helpful to me up until this point, because I definitely have porn-induced erectile dysfunction, and I'm just kind of holding off on all of that. I I did use it once though, up until this point. Other tools, the rubber band. Yep, absolutely been using that. Used that early on. That helped me refocus when I was objectifying or sexualizing women I see out on everyday life. Other tools. Let me think. There's the wind wall. I've been starting to use that a lot, as you know, Chris. You see me. I
Yeah,
try to make that a weekly thing. So in conjunction with these tools, my journal, my journal is been probably the most valuable tool to me, because I will journal every day, and when I go back to use these tools, the wind wall, the reboot, a planner, I will reference my journal and write it down in an organized, cohesive way, as the tool represents, sort of say.
no,
So yeah,
it's funny because that's a millionaire's habit, honestly, because you can easily underestimate the value of daily journaling. Because, first of all, you can't write as fast as you think, and that's a good thing. So it really has you sit with one thought, one word at a time, so that you're fully present during that journaling session. You know what I mean? So keep
yes,
that up. I'm really, really happy that you're getting a lot of value and learning how to become more comfortable with things like the feelings exercise, like the wind wall, like journaling every day. So, so important. So really, really good stuff.
yeah, yeah. It was big. This It's funny. This journal, I've never done journaling ever my whole life. This was given to me when I was a security supervisor prior to my current job, from a fellow employee on it was, I think it was supervisor's day or boss's day, something, one of those days. And this was very special to me, because I don't know if you can read what it says. It says, "May you be proud of the work you do, the person you are, and the difference you make." That struck a chord with me when she gave that to me. Meant the world to me. She didn't know, she just went out and bought some, what she saw, and I know that, but it meant the world to me, and I put it aside at my job, and I never really used it, and I kept it, and now that's my journal, and I'm almost done. I'm gonna have to get another one soon.
Good for you. That's
Yeah.
awesome, man. So, kind of leading into the coaching calls, I'm curious as to what your experience has been like with those so far.
Oh yeah, Orestes is great. I love his the hot seat call. So I held off like I should when we first started. I waited about a month till I was into the program, and I understand why that made sense. And but that that call, the meditation to start the call, huge for me. I've been meditating for years, but I've used an app that kind of talks you through it. I'd like to, and I plan to delve into meditating better in the future, where I just meditate on my own and find, myself. But that starting that call that way is great to me. And then, the topics that come up, everybody can relate. Like I don't think I think I attended about three now. I don't think, yeah, in none of the sessions, every topic that's come up has kind of been relatable to just about everybody in the group. So I highly recommend that. Then Chris, your group on Sundays, the Breaking the Cycle group, that was my first group I started, and I was so thankful, because I had read the book. I think my first group session, I was at least halfway through the book, and I was caught up, because I started a little late, a few weeks into it. But that group session, and that Breaking the Cycle obviously is very instrumental to this program. One of the main books that JK referenced, and the group emphasizes the key points to each chapter, and you get so much value out of that group. I highly recommend it for members going forward, definitely. And I look forward. I'm so sorry I missed this week. Yeah, I'm not going to miss next week.
And I'll hold you to that. But I'm so glad, honestly, that like you're getting a lot of value. Yeah, Orestes is awesome, our senior reboot hero. his letting go call. I mean, that's his bread and butter. That's his style. That's his
Oh,
special
very good.
excellences.
Yeah.
And breaking the cycle. I mean, yeah. I mean, like it is Reboot 101. You know, it's a great book. But like you said, what we do is we dive into it, just saying like, okay, here's what's going on in this chapter. How does this apply, and what can we practically put pen to paper with to make sure that we follow through. You know what I mean?
Correct.
So often we'll like read like a cool idea and be like, oh, we'll put that on the memory bank, rather than like actually take the information and turn it into implementation, which is the whole point of the program we're in, right?
Yes. I could tell by that group, Chris. You mentioned you were a teacher, and I mean you still are really. You very good at it, excellent at it, and I
Thank you.
appreciate you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate that. But yeah, man, there's a question that I love to ask and I love to pick your brain about. Basically, having experienced everything that you've experienced, having received that ultimatum from your wife, to, you know, being a little, maybe fuzzy in like how the group works, but then finally diving in and just going all out, hence you being our comeback king, from where you were to where you are, having experienced what you have, having learned what you've learned so far, if there's someone that you meet, someone you know, that you're aware of the fact that he has an out of control compulsive behavior, right? Knowing what you know now, is there anything that you would want to share with that person?
Yeah, I think the main thing is to realize how reclusive you become when you're in your habit, and that by being reclusive, it prevents you from getting the help you need, because we need people. You have to connect with other people in order to live. I mean, we are that type of beings that we're all, I spiritually believe, I don't spiritually believe, I spiritually know that we are all connected. And when you reach out to other people, you can change someone's life right off the spot, right then and there. And then when you do that, you change your own life. When you give to them, you get it tenfold, and it's amazing. It's amazing.
That's so great, dude. And there's so much meat there that we could really spend all day diving into. But I guess the follow-up question would be, would you recommend this program?
110%. I actually so enamored by this program that I hope to see it transcend to other aspects. Behavioral health in this country is by far at best dismal. I've worked my job as a police officer in New York City, and then as a security guard here in Dover, New Hampshire, in a hospital, have seen mental health patients and interact with them all the time. And supposed help they are being given is inadequate. And it really disturbs me that we've reached this point. And I believe that this program, implemented in other ways, even not just for porn, can help so many people. I truly believe that.
That's the hope, and that's the dream, and that's ultimately the mission, which is why, we're diving into different aspects of, one's own personal reboot. Like we have the Optimum U group, where we focus on just like your physical health, your biochemistry, the dating reboot for those who are worried about, how do I approach a relationship? How do I become more confident? We have our financial reboot coming out, and it really is more than just about the behavior. I mean, one thing that a mentor shared with me, it's not the thing, but the place where it's coming from.
Mm.
You can really, really start to grow in a lot of different areas if you just give yourself permission to. You know what I mean? And it's more than just the compulsive behavior. That's why we're big on not counting days, you know?
Right, right.
Which was kind of tough for me at first when I was going through my own reboot. But the more you hang around, the more you realize, oh, like we were talking about earlier, it's less to do with like a behavioral thing and more to do with an identity thing. Like, how am I going to live my life in just like no longer identifying as like a porn watcher or user and identify with the type of man that I want to be. Like, what was the message on your journal again?
May you be proud of the work you do, the person you are, and the difference you make. And I just to emphasize that point, I don't believe in time anymore. Time doesn't really exist. Only the now, right now. You cannot go back in time and change anything. It doesn't work. Even though I know I watch Back to the Future and all those movies, but that's make believe. But if you change this second, you can change the future. That's how I look at time now. You live every second of every day right now.
Well, thank you so much for sharing all that. And you are making those changes. I see it and I feel it. And I'm so excited for your progress, what you're doing in the now, and how it will undoubtedly impact your future, man. So, Frank, I appreciate you hopping on, sharing a little bit of your story. Any final words to somebody who might be listening to this or watching this that might be kind of on the fence or maybe even in the thick of an addiction themselves, kind of struggling in silence, not really knowing what to do or who to turn to, you know? Uh,
Yeah,
any final words to somebody who might be watching or listening?
absolutely. To that person, I would say take it from an individual who has struggled for all his life. I am 54 now. I probably started this compulsive behavior at 9, 10 years old. I've tried countless different methods and could not find that thing that I felt definitive about. This program, I am 120% sure that as long as I keep working the program as it is meant to be, that I will reach that point where I will be a rebooter, no doubt in my mind.
Thank you so much, Frank, and continued success to you. All the best, man.
Awesome.